Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a little something different. We are doing a pick a card reading. Let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos. Again, this is not my norm, especially if you're new here. Please subscribe if you really like learning about your psychic abilities and psychic development. My channel is all about teaching you guys how to develop your psychic abilities more. So that's the majority of my content. But again, if you guys like these, I will do more of them. But I'm just testing this out today, and we're gonna do my first ever pick a card reading. So the topic for today's pick a card reading is going to be all about how can you develop your psychic skills even more. And obviously my channel is dedicated to helping you guys understand your psychic abilities and strengthen them. But this pick a card reading hopefully will be a little bit more customized depending on which card deck you pick. So I am setting the intention that even if you are just now coming across this video and it's maybe a little bit older, the messages will still apply to you. This will apply at any time. And honestly, I feel like you could probably watch this more than once, and maybe you pick a different pile and some of the things might stick out to you that didn't stick out to you beforehand. So again, this is a timeless reading. So if you're new to pick a card readings, here is how they work. This is pile number 1, this is pile number 2, and pile number 3. And I'll give you a minute here to meditate on which pile is yours. You might already even know which ones you want to go with, but you're going to pick one of the piles, and then you're going to look down in the description down below and look for the timestamp for the chapter, and then you can skip ahead and look through that reading. And if you're feeling drawn to more than one pile, absolutely feel free to watch like 2 piles or even all 3 piles. There might just be a little bit of something in everything, especially if you aren't sure which one to pick. Now I am going to put crystals out on top of these here in a second if you're still struggling and you're not quite sure which one you're drawn to. And just remember that with these pick a card readings, I'm technically reading a ton of people at once, so there might not be things in here that resonate. And so just pick and choose what feels right to you. You're not bound by this reading. You make your own personal decisions. This is just to help you maybe get in touch with your intuition even more. So let's go ahead and meditate on which pile you're feeling most drawn to. I'm going to pull out some crystals here. So pile number 1, you get some prehnite. Pile number 2, you have an abalone shell. And pile number 3, you have some blue moss agate. And just go ahead and ask your guides which pile is most for me. Alrighty, let's start with pile number 1. Pile number 1, you guys chose prehnite. Prehnite is amazing for dreams and precognition. So if you're feeling like you need a bit of that energy, maybe go out and get yourself some prehnite. So your first card in the center is Field of Dreams. And this card I basically asked, what should you use your intuition or your psychic ability for? And I like to think of this card as manifesting. So if you're wanting to manifest honestly anything in your life, relationships, money, even like a connection with your guides, you know, you have to use your intuition to co-create with the universe is what I like to say. Whatever you believe in, whether that's God or spiritual helpers, animal guides, ancestors, if you want to manifest and create the life of your dreams, you can use your intuition for that. And maybe you just haven't even thought about it in that way. Maybe you haven't thought about using your intuition and you've just been like, oh, well, I have to analyze, I have to do all these things that society tells me to do, I have to get a good job. And I think it's kind of a call to get out of your analytical mind and use your intuition in day-to-day life. Now, I asked, where are you using it the most and where are you using it the least? So where you're using your intuition the least is to heal past stuff. So that could be traumas, that could be, you know, past relationships with other people. And it's like all the things that you have been sweeping under the rug is what it feels like. And it's like your guides want you to use your intuition to go back and figure out how to make those areas in your life even better. And so like I like to think of like journaling or automatic writing, things that you can do that really kind of unlock a side of you that maybe you've been sort of like pushing away or hiding. And so like using intuitive exercises can sometimes really help us heal past stuff. And I'm specifically even thinking of like the meditation that I did that was about revisiting like your childhood home. And that is about like meditating and using your intuitive abilities to kind of walk through your old childhood home. So if that like resonates at all, maybe check out that exercise. So the areas that you're not using your intuition very well in are definitely the areas of like healing past traumas, past wounds. And so your guides just want you to pay attention to that a little bit more. Going into where you're using it the most. This is interesting because the Ghostlands card, usually I see this card as like, okay, so it's like taking a time out. And so maybe like in life, you have a good sense of like knowing when you need to like hit the pause button, like when something isn't working, you know, and that could be with anything like jobs or relationships. And you're just like, this is no longer working for me. I need to pause and take a moment and refigure out like my new direction. And I think that's actually where you use your intuition the most, because you're just like, all right, something is not working. How can I do something different? And I feel like that's when you actually tune in to your intuition. But maybe like the day-to-day stuff, like when things are going great, that's when you're just maybe not thinking about how you could be using your intuition to manifest the things that you want. All right, so let's go into the next two cards that I pulled for you. And these are your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to your intuitive abilities. So strengths of being a rescuer. And I'm not even reading this card yet, and I'm immediately thinking about like, you can help other people with your intuition. You can even help yourself with your intuition, but that's where you probably don't do it the best, is helping yourself. And what I love about these cards is they have light attributes and dark attributes or shadow attributes. And so I'm just going to read these and see if anything pops out to me. So this card is your strength. I pulled it in the reverse position to me though. So this to me says like you're good at overcoming this issue. And so like a lot of people, they have this issue with their intuition where they look at the universe or their guides and they're like, oh my gosh, why aren't things working out for me? Why won't my guides just like save me and come in and make everything magically better? And really it's because you understand that, you know, you have to do your own manifesting. You have to do your own co-creating with the universe. Like things aren't just going to fall into your lap perfectly. And so you're really good at both rescuing yourself from this kind of like thought pattern, which a lot of people kind of get stuck in, especially with their guides. It's like they sit around and just wait for their guides to do everything for them. But I feel like that's where you're really strong. You're able to understand that sometimes your guides aren't just going to have everything fall into your lap perfectly. You have to do some things for yourself. Ooh, and so with the downsides, I'm getting a few things, and so this might be some of you, definitely using your intuition for the wrong reasons. So like literally the voyeurism or falsifying information. Make sure you're staying away from like peeking into somebody else's life. You know, I always talk about this with my ethics, in that, you know, when you're reading other people's energy, you really shouldn't be all up in their energy unless they give you permission. And that's especially true of other people that are living here with us and in our life. And sometimes you can use intuitive information to sort of get the upper hand on people. And so, you know, make sure that you are using your intuition for the right things. You're doing it to observe people and yourself. And you're doing it out of this desire to seek out the truth, not necessarily to harm someone or look into someone else's life. I mean, I think everybody does that with their intuition to some point. So just pay attention that this might get in your way, and it might even cause like blocks, and it might cause you to pick up information that's incorrect, is what I'm hearing from your guides. Because, you know, people have their own boundaries, and if you're trying to constantly cross them by getting into their energy and wanting to know like what they're doing, sometimes I feel like our guides kind of like shut that down for us. They shut down our intuition because it's like, no, you can't really get up in other people's business. That's not very nice. All right, and so next I pulled kind of like a past, present, future spread. So I'm gonna put this one here. Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, and then future. Those are too far apart. This is like, I'm gonna have to get good at like laying them out to where they're really pretty. Actually, I'm just gonna do it like this. Okay. This card gives me lots of happy feels, and like it being like cups, you know, I read tarot intuitively, just so you know, so this might not be exactly the message of the card, but this feels like you are using your intuition in all the correct ways. Like, I almost feel like this is you like with dreaming, and it's almost like you totally let go of yourself and your ego. It's like this person is turning into like a fish. And you're able to like navigate through the waters of your intuition, and you're just like able to totally step outside of yourself and dive deep into the waters of intuition. And I feel like you actually are really good emotionally. Like, I feel like you connect. I feel like a few things. It's definitely that you can feel other people's emotions. Some of you might be empaths. Very, very big empaths, because you can feel those emotions. But I feel like you guys are very like emotionally intelligent people. And I feel like this is just giving me such dream vibes. Let me come back to it. And so where you're at right now, this makes so much sense. This is the Magician card. And so and it's in reverse. So to me, it's saying that you haven't fully understood your potential of being able to manifest anything that you want. So the Magician is literally about, you know, whatever he dreams and he desires is kind of up here in his head, and then he's able to manifest it into physical reality. And so with your intuition, it's like it hasn't quite clicked for you yet that you can use your intuition to connect with your guides and get guidance and figure out how to do something in a better way or manifest something that you want more in your life. Future card though, I feel like you guys are really like, I don't feel like there's a whole lot in your way at the current moment, because this like Four of Cups, you're going back to the cups, you're going back to the emotions. I feel like this future card is if you move forward and do all of the things that this reading suggests. You know, you make sure you're avoiding that voyeurism and, you know, being a detective in the wrong ways. You're paying attention to how to manifest. You are understanding that the universe isn't going to give you everything you want. You're going to like heal yourself too. And you're going to come back. You are going to have like this new understanding of your intuition. Like, I feel like this snake is a representative of your intuition, of like, he's coming back and offering up peace. And it's like, this is you right here. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like, I've been through this whirlwind of, you know, trying to understand how to connect better to my abilities. And I think you just needed to be knocked down about a few things. Like, I feel like some of you have really struggled with like trying to get back on top of your psychic abilities. And because of that, you sort of look at this whole thing in a negative way. Like, I feel like I keep getting drawn back to this, and I feel like some of you are really good at like not blaming the universe for like everything wrong in your life, but some of you are still working on this. Some of you are still like, oh my gosh, the universe is out to get me, nothing is going right, like totally that victim mentality. And so I think this is like, again, your intuition. Like, if some of you resonate with like having a snake as like an intuitive guide, this is probably for you. But it's like a peace offering. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm here to help. Let's move forward and find the new way that we can connect with each other again. And it's not going to be necessarily the same as what it used to be. Like, I just feel when I look at this card, like I just feel like so much like childhood. It's like the natural innate ability to be able to connect to your intuition just like that. And I think you're so hung up on like, why can't I do that anymore? And it's like, well, you were in a completely different place, you know, and, you know, as a child, we're just so much more intuitive. So you need to almost like let go of this image, let go of like how easy it was for you to just get into that intuition, receive messages, because you've had past experiences, you've had things, you know, life is more complicated now. And if you're wondering where you can start, it's all about this manifesting. How can you manifest exactly what you're looking for by using your intuition? So the next 3 cards I pulled for you is how can you connect better? How are your guides communicating with you? And then is there like a talisman or like a guide or something that you can use to connect better with your intuition? So let's start over here with how can you connect better to your intuition. So pretend you're trying to figure out your clairs or something and you're wanting to develop your psychic abilities more. So going the distance, like I think of this as very like yang energy as opposed to yin, where you're really putting in the time and the effort. Like, are you being serious about like meditating? Are you being serious about trying to have a dream journal and sticking to writing in it every day? Are you actually going out of your way to do exercises, to read other people, to, you know, it's about really putting in the time and the energy. Your psychic ability doesn't just like randomly come to you. You have to practice it. And that's like the biggest thing that I teach on my channel is like, you have to practice your ability. It's like a muscle. The more you strengthen it, the more you go and work out your muscle at a gym, the more strong it's going to be and the more you can rely on it. But if you're constantly like just sitting around and not thinking about it or not doing anything about it, then your abilities aren't going to get any stronger. So I think for you guys, it's simply just a matter of like putting in the work to make it happen. Now, this middle card of like how your guides are communicating with you, this is like interesting because this deck is just a kind of funny deck, and all the decks that I have are listed in the links down below. I feel like there might be a few messages in here. Your guides might be communicating to you through numbers, because I totally am like looking at the dice and the number up here. Some of you, it might be that your guides are just you're really connected to your guides when it comes to home life. Like maybe you're just really connected with like, oh, how do I deal with relationships, or like, you know, my home life. And that's like what you most reach out to them about. I'm also getting though that this is like, you are a manifester. If you want to use your intuition to manifest your house, your new house, you can have it. This is just like an example of how that manifesting ability can come in. And if some of you guys are like wondering if your house is about to sell, this might be just like for a few specific people. I feel like this is totally like confirmation. I'm reading this card like very literally. Sometimes I look more at like the symbolic meanings, but I'm trying to look for anything that your guides might use to communicate with you. And I'm also seeing like all these like red sparks and lights. So maybe you see flashes of light. I remember back when I first started to use my psychic abilities, I would see kind of like flashes and dots of light in my vision. And honestly, it got to be a little annoying. And so I told my guides, like, please stop communicating to me that way. I don't really enjoy that. And you can always ask your guides to like communicate with you in a different way. All right. And so then the last card that we have over here is like a guide or a place or a talisman that you can have or hold to remind you to connect to your intuition. And again, I'm looking at this like very literally. I'm so happy that the owl popped up. To me, the owl is such an iconic, like intuitive guide. I mean, he's one of my biggest guides, my owl guide. So if you're really drawn to the owl, you probably have an owl guide that is there to help you with your intuition. I'm so bad like with my timelines, but like this woman in this dress, this might be like a psychic sanctuary that you have. And when I talk about psychic sanctuaries, it's like the place you go in your mind to connect with your guides. And so maybe like it's like an English countryside, or honestly, for some of you guys, you probably had a past life like in this era. And so going there in your mind, or even just like connecting to your guides, they're like showing me you dressed up as this. And so to me, that's saying like there's something about you envisioning yourself in this like dress or in this time period that's going to help you connect better. I feel like that's really specific, but I feel like there's a past life connection that will help you connect more with your intuition, because you're like, when you wear or do these things, or like think about this place, or even read books or like draw, you're going to remember things about this past life, and then you're going to obviously be connected with your intuition. I'm also feeling drawn to the little fortune cookie here. Some of you guys might get very like specific signs and symbols through like writing or text, and just know that's confirmation from your guides that that's definitely happening. There's also like a little face in her dress. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but I feel like some of you might have like this guide that's like this female like empress energy. So if you're resonating with that, maybe kind of sit with her and meditate with her and see what more she has to say. And I'm also really drawn to like the scales, and I'm like thinking of balancing both your intuitive and your physical life, like thinking about manifesting those things that you want to manifest. You have to have a good sense of where you are in this life and like what you actually physically need to do. But you also have to like use your intuition to connect with the spiritual side of things. And it's like, I think of these scales as like co-creating, having both the balance of your intuition and your logical mind in your day-to-day life. Alrighty, and so the last card that I pulled for you guys, this is actually from the deck, the Build Your Psychic, I don't want to set it on fire, the Build Your Psychic Skills deck. And I've done a few videos on these, but these are actually not tarot cards. They're literally like a card a day techniques that you can do to enhance your psychic abilities. So if you want to check this out, check it out in the description below. So every day is like a different exercise. And so I already pulled this one for you. And this is Mental Focus Day. And so the different days are different colors. So Mental Focus Day, to me, that's saying that focusing on that left brain side of your mind and understanding how to incorporate it again, like the scales with your intuition, is going to help you the most. This is just giving you a very specific meditation of using an elevator to go up and down your spine. I think this is called like pranayama breathing. And basically just imagine, and I think I went over this in one of my old videos, imagine an elevator going up and down your spine from from your front side all the way up to your head, and then down the back side of your head all the way back down to the base of your spine. And it's almost like this body awareness is going to help you ground a little bit better. I feel like your guides want to just have you ground a little bit more. And then the fact that I pulled the card of like going to your private place 3 times a day, I feel like you guys having this balance between like going to this psychic place in your mind, but then also grounding and being with your own body. It's almost like you need a little bit of balance on both ends. It's like you need that very present, centered place of understanding where your energy is at with your own body, and then you need the opposite of like going somewhere in your mind, like out of body experience. And maybe having kind of those like 2 extremes on one end or the other, I think will help you connect with your intuition more. And maybe it will get you out of this place of being in the middle. I think it'll get you out of this spot of like being in this middle where you're not sure if you're getting psychic hits or not. You'll go from one end of being very grounded in this body to being very in your psychic ability, if that makes sense. Alrighty guys, I hope that was helpful to you. Remember, all my decks are linked in the description down below. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos, or if you just want more tips on how to develop your psychic abilities. I have a bunch of how-to videos. I also have memberships if you're interested in that. Click the blue join button on my channel page to see what some of those are. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and if you really resonated with some of these messages today, I always leave a link to my Venmo in the description down below, just so if you feel called to giving me a tip, absolutely feel free to do so, but do not think it is in any way expected at all. Thank you guys so much for being here, and if you are stopping now, I will see you in my next video. Bye! Alrighty, my friends, if you chose pile number 2, you chose the abalone shell. Abalone shells are definitely like supposed to help with your intuition. I mean, it's connecting with the water and the ocean. So if you're feeling really drawn to that stone in particular, maybe go out and find you some seashells. So I've already pulled these cards ahead of time and I've got them all laid out, well, at least the first set. And so these first 3 cards are why you should use your intuition, which is the center card, and then where you are using it the most and where you are using it the least. All right, let's start with the center card. So the center card is about wishing well. Oh, I feel like this is sort of similar to pile number 1, but this is talking about your intentions and putting in positive intentions to the wishing well. When we put in, I mean, it's basically like the law of attraction. Your thoughts create your reality. So if you're constantly putting out good, positive thoughts about the things you want in life, then what's going to pop out at you? You're going to get positive, happy things in return. Sorry guys, my battery just died. And I know I have this like awful glare. Ugh, I'm going to figure it out next time. All right, but the thing about the wishing well is that if you're constantly putting out negative thoughts like, oh, I have lack, I have, I don't have anything good going for me in my life, then you're just gonna you're gonna constantly attract negative things. And so why you should be using your intuition, it's really going to help you get on top of this. I like to think of it as like victim mentality or just like negative manifesting. And so if you feel like you have a lot of that in your life, your intuition is going to be here to help you with that. You can constantly use your intuition and ask, like, why am I having this negative mentality? Like, what's going on? And you might find that your guides like say, well, this happened in your past, or maybe you've got your boundaries aren't very good right now. And so you can use your intuition to help you have a better positive mindset in life. And I kind of love that that is coming out that way. I actually think it's pretty different than the pile number 1. So where do you use your intuition the least and where do you use it the most? You use it the least when you're stuck, which is like the place that I think you should be using it the most. So when you're stuck and things are just like not working out in life, it's like you forget that you can connect to your intuition. You can pull tarot cards. You can ask like, what the heck is going on? Why am I not like moving forward? How do I get out of this? So know that this is an area that you can work on with your intuition. This is an area you can use your intuition more. And as far as where you use it the most, and I kind of am in love with this. So this is the sad embrace card. And I love this card because it's like when we have to let go of those things in our life and we mourn those things, but it's like a good mourning. It's like when you feel like you need to cry to release something and then you feel so much better. And what's the opposite of sad embrace is like when people refuse to let go of things that aren't working in their life, or maybe even just they have a relationship that they need to let go of, and maybe they did let go of it, but they won't go into the feelings. Like you really have to feel some of the things that happened and embrace the things that you lost and be okay with losing those things and be okay with embracing the emotions around it. And there's something about embracing your sadness or your negative emotions that really actually helps you connect with your intuition more. And maybe it's just that I feel like you guys are really good at letting go of things. You've had to let go of so many things in your life that I think this is like one of your superpowers, is you're able to look at things and be like, oh, this is another one of those things that I've got to let go of and move on, and that's okay. and I'm going to mourn what I lost, but I'm going to feel grateful for the lessons that it left me. And I feel like you use your intuition very well there. And I feel like this is the moment that always happens like right after this. It's like you're stuck, and then as soon as you realize what you need to let go of, it's like you guys go through this process and you use your intuition so well to be like, oh, okay, this is what happened. This is where I need to go next. This is the lesson learned. Like you're connecting with your guides and you feel so connected to, oh, this is the next step, or this is why this didn't work. And you just feel so intuitive about it. I love that. All right, so the next thing I pulled for you guys was, what are your intuitive strengths? And that was in reverse. And then what are your intuitive weaknesses? Also in reverse. And I'm hearing that your guides are just telling me to read it upright. So your strengths, you're a queen, radiating the regal feminine, using her benevolent authority to protect others. So I feel like your intuitive strengths come around like protecting other people. Like maybe you use your intuition a lot. Maybe you give like readings to other people, but even if you don't do that, it really helps you to connect to your feminine energy. Also, I just feel like you use it in relationships so well. But I feel like kind of taking a step back from this card, this is more about you. You use it for the right reasons. That's what I'm trying to say. Like benevolent authority to protect others. You know, you're not using it to like get after other people or to get ahead in life in like a negative way. You're very much in tune with like, no, I'm a queen. I deserve this in my life. How can I manifest it? Or, you know, even if it's for other people, you're like, I want this person to be happier. How can I use my intuition to help them move through this? How can I, you know, use my intuition to get information on how I can help them? You just use your intuition in a very ethical way. And I think that's awesome because not everyone does that. And then like this whole regal feminine, I feel like using your intuition just makes you feel more connected to like that inner power of like feeling in charge of your life, feeling like I don't need anyone else. I can manifest whatever I want. And that's like, I can feel it, but I'm like having such a hard time describing it. It's like those moments where you're just so connected and you're just like, heck yes, I don't need anyone else. I can have whatever I want and I'm going to create it myself. And so where are your intuitive weaknesses right now? And immediately symbols popped out to me. So maybe you have a harder time interpreting some of the symbols that you're getting. Even like as the storyteller card, like maybe you're not, when you're connecting to your intuition, you're not getting like the full picture. You're getting like little bits of stuff and like you don't quite see the whole story that your guides are trying to tell you. And so therefore the information you're picking up, you're not weaving it together correctly. And so maybe you feel like some of the intuitive stuff you're getting is like wrong or incorrect, or you're just not connecting correctly. And it might be because you're just not getting that full picture. And I have a lot of videos on my channel about how to like connect better and get better psychic information, and there's like a lot of variables to it. Specifically the thoughts coming through of like, I literally did a video on how to interpret psychic symbols, so maybe I would start there if this is really feeling like you. I also feel like for some of you, the storyteller is like getting out of telling negative stories about yourself. Again, coming back to this wishing well card, you know, those victim stories or those inner talk that you give yourself. It's like, what are those stories that you're narrating in your life that are not like good? Oh, and then it's also saying like making up tales that harm others. And I almost feel like related to your intuition, maybe sometimes you boast about some of the intuitive stuff that you're getting, but you might not exactly be correct. Like like I'm trying to ask for like an example, and it's like, it's kind of this message of like, don't walk around bragging that, you know, you're better than others because you're connected to your intuition. And I feel like that's not everyone. I feel like that just might be a select few. But I feel like once you kind of get on top of this like weakness of like not being able to fully get the psychic hits as well as you would like, you're going to become such a good storyteller with your psychic information. You're going to be able to receive information and communicate it and really give like a full picture of whatever the answer is that you're supposed to get. I hope that makes sense. So then I pulled 3 cards. I pulled past, present, and future because I wanted to know like where you've been with your psychic ability, where you're at now, and where you are headed if you continue to follow this path. So the past, this is like the little match girl, which is totally about like lack mentality. It's like the wishing well. It's like putting out the negative, like I'm poor, I have nothing. When you put out this vibration of I have nothing, I am nothing, like I don't have the resources I need to live, it's like you attract that. And I think like the story of the little match girl was like, she like died in the snow, at least the old version. It was like very sad. I might be wrong on that, but like that's the image that they're getting. And maybe that's where you've been in your past. You've had a lot of stories telling you that you're not worthy, that you don't have enough, but we really need to get on top of this. We really need to use our intuition to really focus on positive money mentality. And right now, I feel like you're starting to get a taste of this. Like I feel like you're starting to get on top of using your intuition to manifest the things that you want in your life. This is literally you in the past, and then this is like you now, but you're still kind of like going between these two extremes of like, this guy's literally like begging, he has his hand out, and then this chick is like, you know, I don't need anything, I've got everything I need, I can enjoy myself where I am. Like she's got flowers over here and he's got like desolate trees over here. I feel like this is very much like you're in two worlds. You have one foot in the old, one foot in the new. You're starting to understand how intuition affects the other areas in your life and how you can use it to really become this like queen to get out of these moments where you're stuck in the mud and release what's not working for you. This is interesting to me because this looks like kind of like a freaky card. This is like the future if you continue forward, and the message is courage. And my guides are telling me to like ignore the scary picture. It's more like the word that's like sticking out. And I feel like this is you guys. Like I feel like you're looking at your past self, like if you like look nicer. It's like you're a bigger, better version of yourself, and you're looking at your past self like, oh my gosh, look at how sad and helpless I was, and look at me now, I'm this big, huge, pretend that's like a queen energy. I really don't like, he's very ugly, and that's like not the energy that I'm getting from the card. It's very much like you taking control of your like past situation and really feeling empowered to like squash out those old thoughts and like stories that you tell yourself. So the next 3 cards I pulled are, how can you better connect to your intuition? How your guides are communicating to you? And then like a guide or like a place or like a talisman you can hold in order to connect better with your intuition. So this is just hilarious to me. You guys really need to focus on like your lack mentality. So the never-ending story card is like, how can you connect better to your intuition? Interesting, and we've got a mirror here and a mirror there. So never-ending story, I really read this card as like getting out of those cycles of the stories that you tell yourself. Like, look at her, she's like feeling so sorry for herself. It's getting out of those cycles and choosing to be more positive about your life, and like choose optimism is what I'm hearing loud and clear. And I'm just kind of looking at the other symbols on this card. And so again, this card was how can you better connect with your intuition? And honestly, I'm getting that it's like very specific to deal with this part of yourself first, to focus on like turning the switch from being more optimistic, from being pessimistic to optimistic. And through this journey of like fixing this side of yourself, and I don't like to use the word fixing, but it's just like trying to improve this side of yourself, you're going to develop more of an intuitive ability because you're using it for a very specific purpose to help yourself. And sometimes, you know, when we're doing psychic exercises, it doesn't always help if we're not doing it to like better ourselves, or if we're always doing it to help other people and not help ourselves. It's almost like it doesn't stick as well. And when you are focusing on using your intuition in the pursuit of something else, and in this case, it's to help you get through kind of like a mental block that you have, you will find, like, they're showing me like you're going to connect better to your intuition. It's almost like the tools that you will learn and like the advice that they give you, it's like it'll just stick more. Like I feel like I don't have the words for this, but it's like you'll be able to call upon these old tools and like know that, oh, automatic writing worked really well for me, or dreaming worked really well for me because when I was going through this, I had really good connection in this way. And then for the center card of like how your guides are connecting most with you right now, I feel like this is almost the same message. They're showing you yourself right now. They're holding up the mirror and they're saying, hey, look at this. We need to sort of fix this. We need to help you with your confidence. We need to help you with your optimistic mentality. And because of that, I mean, they're coming and they're talking to you with like a goal in mind again. It's like they're prioritizing something that you need first, but it's like the intuitive, the psychic ability will come out of it. I hope that makes sense. I feel like for some of you, like even if like looking in the mirror, you might connect a little bit with your guides. I also feel like could be like connecting with your higher self. Maybe you really connect that way. You're going through like a lot of growth right now. Like I'm looking at this 23 up here, and 2 and 3 are 5, and 5 is all about major growth. And so right now, just focusing on yourself and giving yourself what you need in life is going to help you connect with your intuition. And then this last card was like, do we have a guide, a talisman, like a place that we can go to connect with our intuition, our guides more? So some of you, like, this is cool because if some of you have ever felt like you have a giraffe animal guide, because there's like a giraffe print on here, or a zebra, definitely you might have an animal guide there for sure. The fact that this is about chaos and conflict, I'm getting that like your psychic place again is like when you are in, it's like this sad embrace card. When crap has hit the fan, that's almost like best when you connect with your guides. And it's almost like, I love this card because it's all about the chaos needs to sometimes hit the fan. Things need to be thrown out of order so that they can fall into place in a much better way. But I feel like for some of you guys, yeah, definitely those animal guides. If you're really wanting to be drawn to a specific place, maybe to go to your like psychic sanctuary, this is like the place where you connect with your guides and talk with them. And so maybe that's like a desert. For some of you, I'm definitely feeling drawn to the clouds. So maybe connecting to the clouds will help you connect to your guides better. And then talisman. I mean, you can like print any of these pictures out, or like, you know, if you're really resonating with the desert image, or you're really resonating with the clouds, you know, you can print this out, or, you know, wear a pendant or something to remind you all the time to connect with your intuition. Let's see. So the last card I pulled for you guys, and this is not an actual tarot card, it's from the Build Your Psychic Skills workbook. And these are all just daily exercises. There's like 90 days. Each day you pull out a new card and do an exercise. So I've done a video review on it and I absolutely love these. So if you want to check them out, it's in the description down below. But I just pulled a random card for you I was getting drawn to like whatever I felt like. And this is like what you can do right now to hone your psychic abilities. And I pulled the Claire's Day, so each day of the week is themed differently. So you should definitely focus on your Claire's. And I'm sort of like doing like, it's like the equivalent of book divination, just like reading the whole thing and seeing what pops out. So this is saying, before getting out of bed, ask psychically what is coming up today. So that's definitely something you can do to connect to your intuition. It's basically precognition. The minute you get up, just ask like, what's one thing that's going to happen today? Well, like what's important? And then you could write it down and take it with you. And then this is encouraging you to do clairvoyance, to read auras. Ooh. And I love this because it says, decide you are going to see auras with your naked eyes. Because honestly, how the clairs work is you just have to decide that they're going to work. You have to expect to see something, especially with clairvoyance. You have to expect to hear something if you're trying to do clairaudience. When you are about to enter a place with people, expect that you are going to see their auras. Allow the colors to appear around the people. It's okay to pretend, because pretending is a way to learn. And pretending is really using your imagination and your psychic ability. So I think this is a great exercise that you guys can do, is like practice seeing auras around people clairvoyantly. Make sure you set your boundaries so you're not allowing any of their stuff to get in your stuff. And then using that precognitive exercise. But again, focusing on clairs. If any of those are sticking out to you, maybe only one is, just go with it, see what resonates, and just know, obviously, all of these exercises are also on my channel. Alrighty, you guys, I hope that reading resonated and I hope it helped you. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I have tons of how-to videos on my channel. And let me know if you want to see more pick a card readings. Honestly, this has been an interesting experience. And I want to know what you guys think and if you want to see more. But please give this video a thumbs up. And I also keep my Venmo link in the description down below if you feel drawn to send me a tip for this reading. It is, of course, not expected at all, but I will always very much appreciate anything that you want to send me in return. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are hopping off after this reading, I will see you next time. Bye. Alrighty, you guys, if you chose pile number 3, this was the blue moss agate. And I love this one because this crystal is all about using your intuition and connecting to that inner knowledge. So if you feel like you're drawn to that crystal a lot, maybe go find yourself some blue lace agate. I accidentally chipped it. I was so sad to find that out, but there it is. It's cute. All right, let's do this. So these first 3 cards, what I pulled here in the center was why you should be using your psychic ability, followed by what you're using it the least for and what you're using it the most for. This is interesting. Why you should be using it. I knew I was going to pull this card today. I just knew it because this card, I don't know what it is, but it's just such a silly looking card. I don't know. Anyway, so why you should use this. The reason why I ask this question is a lot of times we get into wanting to develop our psychic abilities, but we're not quite sure what we could be using it for. Like you might be using it for something else, but this is just kind of helpful if you haven't thought about it in a specific way. Now this card, I really like to think of it as like gathering experiences and people and just like a bunch of fun things in life. And so I feel like, I don't know, and this might be the case for some of you, not all of you. It feels like very much like when you look at your life, it feels very, I don't want to say monotone, but just like you do the same things a lot. You do the same things every single day. You just kind of like, everything feels so similar. For some of you, again, this might not be everybody, but why you should be using it is you can use your intuition to attract all sorts of things in life. And I feel like this is like experiences, people, you know, new moments in your life. So like moving to a new home, finding a new relationship, experiences just even as simple as being like, oh, I'm going to go learn something new, or I'm going to move to a new country, or, you know, that's not very simple, but I'm trying to think of very simple things. It's just about collecting. It's almost like this guy, I see him, he's at the end of his life and he's looking back and he's like, oh my gosh, look at all these amazing things I have. And I feel like you guys don't feel like you're quite there yet. And so for you, you can manifest the things in your life that you want to have by using your intuition. I feel like this is more though about like direction, like how you're using your intuition to decide what direction to go in life. Should you go left or should you go right? I feel like it's very much, that's what you should be using it for. That's, and I think that's a completely valid reason. It doesn't have to always be like these massive spiritual, changes in life. It can just be as simple as like, what shirt do I wear today, blue or red? Or which side of the country should I move to, east or west? And where are we using it the least? You are using it the least when it comes to your compass, which is funny. So I think your guides are just fully reiterating that a little bit more. It's like your intuition can help guide you to where you need to go next. And I feel like you're just kind of moving forward in life being like, oh, I'll just figure it out and plan as I go. And I feel like you often make the wrong decisions and you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, if I would have just known how to like do this a little bit easier, I would have saved so much time or so much money. Like that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. But your intuition can be your inner compass. It can help you decide which direction to go in. And this is probably the area that you're using it in the least right now. Also, some of you guys might have frogs. Frogs might be one of your intuitive guides for sure. If you're really resonating with that, kind of set that in your mind as like, my frog guide is now my new guide. All right, and then how are you using it the most? You are really good at using it to manifest. You're able to bring in new ideas, or you want a relationship, you want a new home, you want whatever it is, love, and like there's a compass over here too. Oh, and there's a frog over here too. Look at that. Definitely frogs for you guys. But you're able to manifest, which is interesting to me because I feel like these cards are sort of the same. What's the difference here is what I'm going to ask your guides. This is about creating what you want. This is about like the future, like making the next decision. So once you know what you want, you're really good at being like, all right, I want this. I'm going to put out my intention for the universe. Like this is like the opposite, I think, of like pile number 2. Pile number 2 is very like bad at like thinking about the negative things and attracting the negative things. You guys are really awesome at being like, you know what? I'm a magician. I am going to think about this and it's going to manifest into my reality. And so that's where you are doing it the best. But it's like, this is like the after part of like, okay, what's next? And I feel like that's where you guys don't use your intuition as much. So let me pull, so I pulled 2 cards, one for your strengths around intuition and one around your weaknesses. Ooh, okay. Are those, and I know there's a glare here and I apologize. I'm gonna figure that out next time. So where you are really good at using your intuition is not using it to cross people's boundaries. Like there's a lot of people that, use their intuition to like figure out what other people are doing or, kind of like, I don't know, they just use it in a negative way to get ahead of other people. I feel like you really don't do that. You use it for yourself. You use it to, I just don't feel like you use it in a wrong way. I don't feel like there's anything more there, right? And I would say maybe for some of you, this is still like a struggle. Some of you are still, that you might use your intuition to kind of like learn something secretive about somebody else, or you might use it to make decisions without actually like talking to another person. So maybe this is just something you can focus on a little bit more of just, being more ethical, honoring other people's energy and kind of leaving them alone. And I'm specifically really feeling like this card is like using your intuition to gain information about somebody else and then use it to your advantage. And one of like my biggest things as a psychic is like, I will never go up to somebody and like read them without their permission. I never like, message people and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to give you a reading. Like, no, we don't do that. So I think you guys are very good at just understanding the ethics behind all of this, which is awesome because not everyone is that way. Where you are the weakest, and I pulled the God card, which is interesting to me. And I feel like this is a little bit mirroring this. So some of you who might be struggling with using your power of knowledge, using your intuitive power to, again, get that upper hand on other people, remember to stay out of that. We don't want to be using our intuition to, what's the word? I don't know, like thwart other people or, I don't know, just we want to stay away from doing it for the wrong reasons and focusing on benevolence, compassion. And I feel like some of you, the weakness here is that you don't really feel connected to who you're talking to. Like, who are you talking to? Am I talking to guides? Am I talking to God? Like, I feel like this is like a very spiritual card of like being confused about your religion maybe, and just like how that affects your intuition. Maybe there's like a lot of old talk around that, and that might be like a psychic block that you have of like, oh, I'm not supposed to be into this because it goes against my beliefs. And maybe watch my video that I made of like, can you be psychic can you believe in God and see a psychic at the same time? Because I truly believe that a lot of this stuff does mix. You know, being psychic or being intuitive is a skill, and, you know, it fits into any religion or no religion. It's a skill. It's not a belief system. It's something you do, if that makes sense. And I think the last thing that I'm getting with this like weakness is just like recognizing, it's this part that's sticking out to me, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. And to me, that's like giving yourself permission and like celebrating the successes that you have with your intuition. I feel like you doubt your intuition a lot and you're just like, oh, that's just a coincidence. You know, I didn't actually do that. And because you're not giving yourself that credit when you are reading or getting psychic hits, you are not, it's like you're telling your psychic ability that it's not good or it's not real. And when you do that with your psychic ability, it just kind of shuts off because you say you don't trust it, and then you don't believe in it, and then it stops working for you. And again, I feel like these are all separate messages for separate people. So again, pick and choose what makes sense for you. So the next 3 cards I pulled, I wanted to get like an impression of where you've been with your intuition before, where you're at now, and where you are going to be, assuming that you follow this advice. I love this. So this is like the 3 little bears, 5 of Pentacles, and I read these cards intuitively, so there might be another meeting here if you are into tarot and you want to read that yourself. But I am thinking of this card as like you being afraid of that intuition, like it's creeping up on you in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? It's like this scary unknown thing. And I'm kind of getting pulled back to some of you that might be like a religious thing. And I feel like you haven't quite tapped into it because of like, you're feeling afraid of the unknown there. And so again, look through my channel. I try to make growing your psychic ability as easy as I possibly can make it and not scary at all. I like to dispel a lot of the myths around it, but it just feels like, I feel like another aspect of this card is like, for some of you, this psychic ability just pops up when you don't want it and you don't feel like you have very much control. And I definitely also talk about that on my videos. Where you're at now. So this is obviously the Princess and the Pea. I feel like you just have a lot going on in life right now. Like, here's this huge pile of like mattresses that she's on top of. She's stressed out. There's just a lot going on, and you're not necessarily listening to your intuition because you're letting all of the other distractions sort of get in your way, if that makes sense. So I feel like for you, it's almost like quieting the mind is important right now. It's getting rid of all of the stuff that's in your way of distracting you from connecting to your intuition. And I feel like this is a lot of us, honestly, a lot of us who, you know, don't feel like they're necessarily born with psychic gifts, but you're feeling called to want to develop it, and you're just finding it hard to honestly connect and turn on your psychic ability. I feel like when you're not just naturally so super intuitive and turned on all the time, you have a lot harder time getting to that state because you have this monkey mind, these distractions, like all this other stuff going on in your life. So right now, I think getting rid of those things, simplifying is like the word I'm hearing. Anything you can do to simplify will help you get in tune better with your intuition. And then your future card, King of Swords. I feel like this raven is actually some of your guys' intuitive guide if you're feeling really drawn to like the raven, or if you've seen it before. I think that's a raven, right? Maybe a crow. But if you've seen that animal before, maybe that's one of your animal guides. I'm also feeling like the moon for some of you, and that makes total sense. The moon is definitely like the sign of intuition. And I feel like what this is if you can get on top of this, you are going to have very deep like visions. Like I feel like this is you leaving your body and like flying away to gather, you know, like information about yourself. Like I'm even feeling like really clear out of body experiences, or like very clear shamanic journeying. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be very clairvoyant, maybe even clairsentient, but it feels like you will so be able to disconnect from the physical, which is like what you're struggling with right now, to be able to soar above, to connect with your guides, to gather information about what you need to know in life, you know, all of those experiences that is about to come your way. And because of it, it's like you're able to separate that so much better, connecting to your intuition. You're able to separate like your earthly self from your spiritual self. I just think you guys, like, I'm just getting like a very intense, like, out of body experience slash, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, again, like shamanic journey is the only thing I could think of. But it feels like you are going to be able to you're going to be able to disconnect very well and get very deep and intuitive information, which a lot of people have a hard time getting to that point, like getting to that deep information. They have a hard time like moving past those like surface level hits. And I think you guys are going to discover this whole new world, and you'll be able to see things from such a new perspective. You're going to start using your intuition in that way. And I think it's going to be really just beautiful and transformative for you all. All right, so the next 3 cards that I pulled, I asked, what can you do to better connect with your guides? And then I asked, how are your guides connecting with you? That is a funny card. And then a guide or a place or a talisman, something that you can like have to better connect with your guides. So the first card, how can you better connect? Definitely numbers. So maybe some of you guys might be into numerology. The hot air balloon, I'm definitely getting that same message of like doing out of body experiences, like out of body travel, meditations, shamanic journeying, anything you can do to like disconnect from your body and get into like a very, very deep meditative state, maybe even hypnosis. I think you are going to connect with them better. I even feel like for some of you, this is talking about like the time of day. Like some of you guys might be doing intuitive work at like just the wrong time of day. Like maybe you're doing it like 5 minutes before bed and falling asleep, and that's just like not the best time. Or maybe that is the best time for some of you guys. So being very cognizant of like the time that you are spending on your psychic ability, and literally like when, like what part of the day are you doing it? Even like for how long is like what your guides are saying. And I'm also hearing with this card, like just know that with your intuitive ability, sometimes things will get stuck. Like, and I think maybe that hasn't quite clicked for you guys yet. Like sometimes you have psychic blocks. You will not be perfect all the time, and that is okay. And then for how your guides are communicating with you, this is such a funny card because like I look at it and I'm like, oh, construction work. But using your hands, and so I'm thinking of this as like a very physical way that you are connecting with them, which is funny because we were just like talking about like you doing the opposite of like doing out of body experiences. So maybe it's for some of you, maybe the out of body experiences is like super helpful. Maybe for others of you, it's getting like in the zone in like creating something, like doing a craft with your hands. So like drawing, painting, like really to me what this card is more about is like when you've been doing something for a really long time and you're sort of in that zone. When you're in that zone, you connect better to your guides. And I feel like this is like a both thing. You can connect in both of these ways. So don't feel like one is better than the other. Just reminding myself of what else we have here. But I think that's a good balance to have of both connecting physically and like mentally with your spiritual team, because a lot of people get stuck doing one way or the other, but definitely try both. But that's how they're communicating to you, is like when you're definitely in that zone of like creating something, doing something with your hands. And then this last card, talisman, a guide or a place. So definitely got the moon again. Some of you might very well connect with the moon, like even going outside and watching the moon or understanding the moon phases. You know, printing out something of the moon or getting a necklace with the moon on it, that might really represent the psychic ability to you. This is also like a balloon, like there's a little girl holding a balloon. So maybe balloons are a way that your guides also communicate with you, like seeing balloons. Definitely also feeling like the clouds, like this could definitely be like a psychic place that you visit when you're trying to connect with your guides. Like in your mind, where is your psychic sanctuary? Where do you talk to your guides? And that might be like up a flight of stairs and in the sky on top of these clouds. Maybe that's where you best connect with them. This is actually one of the places that I visit every now and then when I connect with my guides. So the last card that I pulled is actually not a tarot card or an oracle card. It's from this Build Your Psychic Skills deck. And I've done a video review on these before, but basically each day is a different card and you pick it up and you take it with you and you do the exercises that you have on there for that day to further strengthen your psychic ability. So I picked one at random and it was this pink one for you guys. And this is kind of like what you can do right now to hone your psychic abilities even more. Okay, and this is the Play Outside Your Rut day. So all of these cards are like different themes for different days. Playing outside your rut day is all about doing something different, like driving a different way to work. This is like talking about using your non-dominant hand, doing a bunch of little things to just like get your mind out of left brain and get your mind into right brain, like kind of like disrupt those normal day-to-day patterns of like what we were talking about earlier of every day feeling the exact same. And so your techniques, things you can do right now, meditate at the same time of day, even if it's only for a minute. Use any technique, just try to get into the habit of doing that. And then using your non-dominant hand. Each time you remember to do this, think about how you are strengthening your psychic sense to assist you with your life. And if you aren't quite feeling pulled to do the non-dominant hand thing, again, try like driving a different way to work, wearing something very different. I'm about to actually come out with a video on this, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe now. And it'll be all about kind of like different fun ways you can play with your psychic ability that aren't necessarily like super exercisey, psychic exercisey stuff. So awesome, guys. I hope that reading helped. I feel like I need to pull way more cards next time. But again, all the decks that I used are linked down below if you want to check them out, including these 90-day psychic cards. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more pick a card readings. If not, I do have tons of how-to videos on how to strengthen your psychic ability. I also have memberships and I do live readings once a week. But give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I always leave my Venmo link in the description down below. This is just if you're feeling drawn to send me a tip for this reading. It's never ever expected, but if you feel like you want to do so, I would always appreciate it. Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. This is my first ever pick a card reading. I don't know if you've watched it completely till the end. Let me know what you think. All right, you guys, and remember at the end of the day, the biggest thing that's going to help you develop your intuition is to practice, practice, practice. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.